Hey everyone, it's Alan Lipovsky here from Constellation Research, and I'm coming to you from San Francisco where I'm attending Slack Frontiers. This is the second year of their conference where they bring all of their customers and partners together to find out what's happening and what's new with the product. As you can see behind me, they're talking about the future of work, a theme that obviously I'm very interested in. Now, the big theme from Slack themselves is sort of about being, or the way I look at it anyways, this is a year of maturity. This is a year where they've been very, very heavily focused on emphasizing that they are not a group messaging or a chat client or just a communication tool, but they really have become a hub, a central place for collaboration, specifically around things like business processes and workflows. Now, those of you that have followed my work for years know I refer to this as purposeful collaboration. Things like in sales, in marketing, in finance, very specific processes that employees work together and the things that they do. And so, kudos to Slack for really sort of maturing their messaging and heavily focusing on that idea of becoming a collaboration work hub. Now, while I'm overall very positive about the theme that Slack is discussing, this becoming a collaboration hub, one thing I found unfortunate at this year's Frontiers is I didn't think there was a lot of current news. They spent a lot of time talking about really good things that they've done over the last year. So they talked about improving search and adding app actions and improving shared channels, ways you can communicate outside of your organization. They acquired Missions this year. That's very positive. And the partnership with Atlassian, all very good things, especially $427 million in new funding. So some really, really good things, but those were previous news items. They didn't talk about things like numbers of new users. They're still citing numbers that they were first announced in May at 8 million daily active users. They didn't talk about new partner ecosystems, things that they're doing with the Slack Fund, money that they're giving out there. I would have liked to have heard something new. And with the competition heating up from Microsoft and Google and Facebook and Cisco and others, I really would have liked to have heard more emphasis on the enterprise grid product. And finally, obviously it's something near and dear to my heart if you follow my work, I would have liked to have heard a little more emphasis on artificial intelligence and the role that it plays not in adding features. I don't want to hear about an AI button or an AI feature, but really how they're leveraging artificial intelligence to improve the daily workflows that people use. Now, Slack has highlights inside the stream where it uses AI to extract messages to show you what you've missed, but there's a whole bunch of other things that could be going on, and I would have liked to have seen a little more progress in that area. While Slack may not have announced a lot of new things available today, they did have a lot of information about great new features that are coming in the future, things either this quarter or things that they are thinking about in 2019. Perhaps the one that got the most attention was adding enterprise key management. What this is going to allow people to do is encrypt and secure channels inside your Slack organization. Now, most importantly, all of the features of Slack are still going to work. All of the bots and all of the actions, and especially things like search, and administrators at your organization are going to be able to hold the management of those keys. So that's a very significant feature that they're working on and are going to be doing later next year. They also talked about a lot of enhancements to compliance and governance and device security, or device level security and things like that. So while I mentioned earlier that there wasn't a lot of news around Enterprise Grid, that's a statement sort of for today, but they are announcing a lot of things that they're thinking about for the future. The second area that they're working on for the future is really making the product more usable to the regular end users. Things like adding a rich text editor so that you can do things like bold and fonts without having to know, different markdown commands like using asterisks to make things bold. They're making the onboarding experience easier so that when you first log on, you don't see all of the features and functions, but as you become a more advanced user, then you'll be able to access those things. They're also greatly enhancing the speed, the way the pages load, and the way you switch between networks. And finally, they're even going to be adding some offline support so that when you're in low bandwidth situations like a train or an airplane, you'll be able to continue reading things that are in your Slack channels, making updates, marking things unread, and then when you reconnect, all of that information will be synchronized back to the live version of Slack. Okay, so let's recap. Slack did a really good job of emphasizing the idea that they are more than just an enterprise messaging or a group chat client, that they are a collaboration hub, a place where people go to get their work done across real business processes, sales, engineering, communications, workflows that people use to actually get their job done. Now this is a common theme going across the industry with enterprise file sharing vendors, unified communication vendors, group messaging vendors, all sort of focusing on the more products they can integrate with, then the more work people can get done seamlessly. And I think that's really important. I think breaking down those silos of both people and content and conversations and making it easier for people to get work done is really one of the most important parts of the future of work. Now, as I mentioned, I would have liked to have seen some more news and announcements taking place directly today at the event, but I think Slack did make a lot of announcements coming for, either towards the end of this year or into next year. So let's see how they deliver on those promises, and I'd love to hear back from you customers of what you thought and what you're hoping for from the product and the use cases that you're doing. So this has been Alan Lipovsky from Constellation Research, coming to you from Slack Frontiers in San Francisco. Bye.